let's get this party started. We'll call the meeting to order. And note that all councilors are present. Alright. Next item of business, we'll look to approve and or modify the agenda.
I don't think there's anything that needs to be changed.
No, and this is, like I said, this is Luke's agenda,
Yep.
and
Okay,
he
and
asked
I'll make the
me.
motion that we adopt the agenda as printed.
Alright, I have a motion by Paul.
I'll second that.
Second by Ann. All those in favor? Carries. Moving on. Three, to approve the minutes from the April 19th meeting.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of the April 19, 2022 meeting.
Alright, motion by Pete.
I'll second.
Second by Ann. Any discussion? Not seeing any. Vote. All those in favor?
I have one thing. The next time you're missing hands.
Just give me a little heads up.
Alright. I'll let you.
I need some
We gotta
time to
take turns.
prepare.
I'll-
Yeah,
I'll let you-
I'll do it.
I'll let you prepare next.
Not last minute.
Okay. Okay. Alright. Moving on, I'm going forward. Budget review. And we'll start with the ambulance.
So, roll back.
Not there.
Oh, crap.
Oh, I've never done that. What can I go get, Luke? Can I ask you something?
No, it isn't, it's part of, it's a separate document, I didn't include them in the same document.
One to Mayor.
Let's move on,
Okay.
and then when Nancy does her audit review, I'll run down and print it,
That's
and we'll put it
Have you got
back
it
in.
in your,
Yeah.
in your screen?
We can,
Huh?
Have you got it in your,
Yeah, I can bring it up on the screen.
yeah, put it up on there?
Yeah.
That's good enough.
technology,
Yeah.
sometimes it works in your favor.
Paperless.
I have a mouse, but I just forget to set it. There we go.
Sweet.
Alright, so in the last council meeting, the council did approve a 5% increase across the board for town employees. But I meet with budget committee tomorrow, so those numbers are left in there for their review. You'll see that, there's a few, I wouldn't call it significant changes, but there are changes. So the director's pay is going to change. Those duties have been divided up in the last year by Amy and I. And so that amount at this point covers Amy as the crew chief and whatever training that she provides to the ambulance group. She's done 1 to 2 trainings a month since she started. That's going really well. She's been doing some with fire, with kind of cooperative, some with fire as well. So that's going really well. So for now, we're able to bring that budget down quite significantly. What that does for us is that puts our crew chief on the rig 2 days a week also, doing 24-hour shift. So she is on the rig. So she is in the full-time staff bank. And so instead of just having, somebody that's just in an office, she's actually working there. So that goes into the full-time staff bank. There's 4 full-time staff in that full-time staff bank. I budgeted, I think we're 5, but right now we're 4. And if we add a 5th, there'll be a little too much overlap the way our schedule works, so it's a good way to have that set up. Nancy and I last year worked together laboring over this budget and trying to figure out a schedule and a on-call this, and just, it was such a headache. The two of us came back from a weekend and sat down on Monday morning, we're looking at each other like, what on earth? There's gotta be a better way to do this. So, we made some changes last year, but I'm changing them back to essentially what they had been the year before. Not the numbers, but at least the way in which we schedule and budget and plan our crew. You'll also see down here with patient transfer, that line had been eliminated, I put that back in. They started picking up some transfers, and we're really going to really closely watch those numbers to see. But based on the new billing numbers that we have, just the mileage from the runs will bring in about $2,800 just in mileage on a run to Bangor.
One run.
One run.
Set it all along, that's your money maker right there, you know, it's just, we were hurting with the staff.
So now we have people ready and available. They're more than happy to do transfers if they're available, and we have a couple other people. I legit have a list of 3 people right now that are telling us, if you have a full-time opening, you want to come work for you.
Wow.
So we're, one of the things I told Amy is to look into the possibility of using them to do transfers if they want to. When somebody calls for a transfer, or a hospital calls for a transfer, it's not a 911 call. They need a transfer, so they don't have to be sitting around here waiting to go on a call. They make themselves available, then we can put them out on the call. So the fire has an app that they're using that basically when a fire call goes out, it sends a message to everybody's phone. They can say they're responding. Ambulance has one too that's called We Are Responding. We're gonna register and start using that. It's about $350 a year.
Good idea.
And it gives everybody an opportunity on the ambulance when they send out that call.
I'll show you that.
It's first come, first serve. If you're available, then you say you're responding, and the first 2 people that respond, they'll get that transfer call if they want.
Nice.
If nobody responds, then we have nobody to respond, call the hospital back, say, I'm sorry, we don't have anyone.
Great.
So,
And with the app, they can respond right away, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're not waiting,
yeah.
so that's a
Right.
very good investment.
And it's fair, so everybody gets an opportunity, it goes out there, if you're
To the whole crew.
quick enough to trigger, then you're gonna get the call. Our new paramedic, Glenn, he's ready and willing to go whenever he can, so.
Great.
Thanks,
Look, I have one question on, go back up. Equipment purchase, equipment maintenance, line 61.
Yep.
So, I'm sorry, vehicle purchase and maintenance. Is there an allotted amount that goes to an account for future vehicle purchases, or do we have that, and if we have to, whatever's left over at the end of the year, that'll just go towards,
Yeah.
how does that work?
So what has happened in the past is there is a CIP line there, but the ambulance has always fallen, over the last 6-7 years, the ambulance has always overspent essentially. They haven't gotten the revenues to equal the expenses.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so nothing really was able to move over to CIP.
Right.
CIP got eaten up, ambulance CIP got eaten up trying to accommodate
Stay solvent.
for the, yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly think this year we're gonna see that change, because right now, the revenues look like they're 240,000 right now to date. But we haven't had any run billings or any revenue come in for December, January, February, March, April. 5 months are still not reflected.
Wow.
And those 5 months are going to be billed out at the new billing rates by the new billing company. So that should change, that should, I mean, I'm not gonna make promises that we're gonna break completely even.
That's the goal.
It looks to me like we're gonna be a lot closer than we were last year. So now we'll really know once the numbers start coming in, but as it's been explained to me several times during conference calls with Comstar, if you miss one checked box, that could cost a department $500-600 on an ambulance run. And some of the deposits I'm seeing are for $125 on the old Venom company. So if we're getting paid back $125, how much did we spend to send the truck out?
Yeah.
So my guess is the right boxes haven't been checked.
Yeah.
So that's, I'm really hoping and expecting to see the difference. When I told Comstar what those deposits were, they were all laughing. You know, they're like, listen, it's just, reality is today, you need a company that knows, needs multiple people that have a focused responsibility. They have one group focused on Medicare, one group focused on Maine, one group focused on railroad, so they know what is supposed to be built and how it's supposed to be built. So I do believe we're gonna see a pretty good difference here. Feel pretty confident. I hope I have egg on my face at the end of the year, but I think we're gonna be pretty good.
Well, I think we're gonna be, if we can do better, a lot better than last year.
That's a plus.
We'll take it.
Yeah,
We'll take it.
So, I have another question.
that line item could go on
Yeah.
that, it really shouldn't say purchase, what it is oil and gas and tires.
Well, it's
literally
kinda
almost-
confusing, cause it
Yeah.
says purchase or
I
maintenance,
think
maintenance, I don't know if we
I
should-
think it means
to purchase,
it just means purchases, like things that you need
Yeah.
for.
it's kind of, it's a little mis, you know, it's a
Been
little.
there forever, yeah.
And that's why I had you clarify it.
Yeah.
Now, the third rig we've got, do we have a plan for that?
Yep, that's going up to Autotronics. We've been waiting to get that moved to Autotronics. They're gonna run through it. We need to replace the inverter in it. The inverter is bad. I think we're gonna start using that rig for the transfer, as a transfer rig.
How many houses on there? I think it's like 70,000.
Yeah,
Exactly.
something
Yeah,
like that.
it's
It is in very
very
good
minimal.
shape.
And
It's
in
very
my,
good shape.
in my email, I have the entire maintenance history. They sent like everything that was done to that vehicle before we brought it up here, I'll make sure you get that so that you actually know.
And again, I'd like to reiterate for the public, that vehicle was free. That vehicle was given to us by a small department in Connecticut that went,
Different route.
well, you had a bigger department take them over, so they donated that ambulance to us. So,
Yeah, we need to get to a place where we're putting enough money away in CIP for ambulance that we can have a purchase plan for ambulances going
we need
forward.
to get on that.
We can't,
Right.
we just gotta get on top of it so we can, and get enough money in there that puts a new ambulance in the garage when we need it.
Okay, so line 62,
Yeah, so,
so does that include fuel?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Based on fuel being 640 right now,
well, we're still paying what we contracted
For
for,
last,
so we're,
When does
You're
that
good for
contract?
half the year, right? You'd be good for half the year.
Yeah.
So we still have half the year at last year's price.
well, I'm just thinking in the future, because, you know, right now it's 640, it's hefty, I know some companies are literally thinking of putting their trucks in the parking lot until the fuel comes back down.
Yeah.
Let's hope it comes back down.
You know,
I really hope
I'm
so.
just
Yeah, really.
hoping that there's enough money in that line to cover us the next, you know,
we're,
after the contract's done,
we're in good shape for that.
we are,
And,
okay.
and if there isn't, I mean, we have a justification for overage on the fuel bill, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep, we're in good shape for that.
We are,
That's a
okay,
good number.
alright, that just, you know, that was a concern of mine, because it's just the fact that it's 640,
That's a good
Yeah,
number.
it's-
It's a
Good
solid-
number.
it's a
Okay,
good
great.
number, yeah.
okay,
One of the things, the line that we did not have ever in the ambulance budget before was this medical supplies line. So basically what used to happen is the duty gear line was 25,000.
oh, yeah.
So
We just said-
I've broken this off because we need, that duty gear line included medical oxygen, cylinder rental, which is the oxygen cylinder rental. It included, it basically was a kitchen sink, everything that you didn't know where to put it went into that line.
Yeah.
Well, it looked like the ambulance needed $25,000 of duty gear, so it doesn't make any sense. And we really do need to know what our medical supplies cost, because we buy a lot of medical supplies and they're expensive.
Yeah.
So we need to know what we're actually using in medical supplies, and that, based on what we have spent this year in medical supplies, that's as close to the real numbers we're gonna get for now.
Okay.
You know, and again, going forward, we'll sort it out, you know, medical supplies are going up, we were pretty fortunate, some of the PPP stuff we were using, we were getting, you know, some at discount rates, some at obnoxious rates. So we'll see how it goes. We got some free stuff, but with the ambulance, it's hard to, you can't really stockpile. We're trying not to stockpile medical supplies.
Yeah.
That's one of the things Amy did when she came in, is she went through the supply closet and said, why do we have all of these things? Why on earth do we have all of these things? We don't need all those things. We don't need it all. So and some of it was expired, and you have to throw it out. Can't use it. There's nothing you can use it for. So she's got a real, she's got a spreadsheet. She knows what the expiry dates are of things, and she's ordering what we need and nothing more. So they're trying to tighten the belt on it a little bit.
Well, it's good to know that somebody's got their arms around it.
She's got a good rep of that. Right there.
And, working for the benefit of the ambulance fund.
So fuel oil, where's the heat line?
Right there.
So I increased the heat line for obvious reasons. We just had to fill up an ambulance that put us over what we used last year. So I might jump that up a little bit. And my fingers crossed that that'll.
I'd like to ask to, you know, and I'm not saying they're not watching it, but we need to be a little bit more frugal when we leave the building, where the temperature's at.
Yeah.
Anything above freezing, as far as I'm concerned, is fine.
I
okay?
did talk to them.
So when they leave, they need to really pay attention to the thermostat, turn it down. If they're there, turn it up.
What do we have for a thermostat there?
We should get a digital one.
We should get a
We should get
digital
one with an app.
They have to keep it at something like 62, I think, for drugs.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
fine.
That line also contains, it actually, if you go back up, we have a rental line, and we haven't charged the ambulance rent for the 148 apartment. What we do is, before they moved there, they were in a house, they had a rental, and they had a fuel budget, because they had to put the oil in the tank. So what we're doing is, in that oil budget loop, is they're paying the oil at 148, that's their rent, and they're paying the electricity, so they're paying, you know, which is less than them paying rent and fuel both. That's gonna change if we sell the building and they're not in that building, because that was a town of Van Buren thing, you know, if the ambulance loses money, we don't need to soak them because it's our sell. But that had, if we have something where they're gonna be in a facility, you're gonna see that number change, because that garage doesn't use all that. A
Well,
lot of that's going into
and
148.
to back up a little bit, we talked at the last meeting, and I think we're gonna lean to them to stay there, and I think we're gonna go back to our original plan of heading onto that building. I think it'll be a lot more cost effective.
Across the street,
Yeah.
and I do too. So you may not have any rent at all, you may not need to have that line there, because we haven't charged out of it, and that was partly because it would be like chewing our leg off.
Right.
So, but I know that, that might be the way to go, and you would have fuel for the extra building, so I think you are good that you upped it a little bit because of the cost per gallon, and it's gonna buffer you if it's not needed. That building, I think, across has been classically around 1,000, 800 to 1,000. I'll have to look, because I can give you the printouts from Tulsa. They'll give you a nice year-end report for every building, which I think they haven't filled our tanks yet.
Yeah, we still have 6,000, I can't remember the gallons.
Usually ask them to fill it up before the end of the contract. Because I just got a GA bill, I thought it was gonna be under contract, and it wasn't. It was $4.03.
Right now, it's
560
$5.89.
Yeah, whatever, yeah, 589.
So I think, in looking ahead,
I think
the high fuel costs, I think we need to go and revisit this. Go back to our original plan, maybe a little bit different plan, to include a little kitchenette, a little living area with maybe 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms. And that addition, that needs a new roof, put a tin roof on there, put an extension or put a second story, however we decide to do it. and then we could use heat pumps to, for the.
Well, that was my
Take advantage of our electrical rates.
yeah,
In conjunction with, we could use the heat pumps as our primary
Yeah.
source,
Yeah.
and then they'd have the oil as backup.
yeah,
And
exactly.
we could engineer it, the building, to where if it's 40 below zero and the heat pumps start catching up, crank the oil and it'll heat everything.
Yeah, and that,
So
the heat
it's gonna
pump-
cost us a lot less money to do that than to try to,
the heat pumps would be excellent for when they leave the building during the day, or whatever, because you set the heat pump at 70 degrees.
62 or 63, it's gotta be at 63.
Turn your thermostat down, it's gonna maintain that 63, 64, whatever it needs to be, and we're not burning that fuel oil because the heat pump.
Right,
Yes, is it gonna cost more electricity? Yes, it will,
but it's gonna be a big
but it's
savings.
gonna be minimal
Compared to burning oil.
compared to burning oil.
Right now,
Right now.
Yeah.
and probably in the future.
And in the future, I don't see it coming back down. I mean, I see it coming down a little
A
bit,
little bit, but
but
not
not-
for $2 a gallon.
we're not back, well, I don't think we'll ever see the 275 a gallon oil again. I really don't. But,
Unfortunately.
and that's been my concern in us looking at these budgets. Everything else is top notch. It's whatever, it's just the fuel line that hopefully that we've built in enough into that line so that 6 months from now or 8 months from now, we're saying, oh my God.
You know, another thing you could do, Paul, is we must have paid whatever we got the fuel for last time.
279, I think.
So
Yeah.
whatever their lowest
Yeah,
bid is
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be, maybe we can up our budgets for that area.
Yeah, and we had actually crept up a little bit, we've been like at 240 or something, and when it hit 279, then within a couple months, it was already pushing $3, let alone what's happened now, so I think
So,
you're right, we're gonna see, so I would say leave your rent expense in there, cause
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
at least a buffer.
so for 6
of
months,
or-
we could probably get away with it, what you said, right?
Yeah.
But the next year, we're really gonna have to, if we're
We'll
still in
have
the
to
same boat, we're
start.
really gonna have to revisit it and say, hey, listen, these fuel budgets are gonna go up. So,
Yeah.
Good. Bottom line.